We're back. It's Tuesday night here on Divots and Pivots on that sports podcast network. Can you tell it's been a weekend of not anywhere near social media or the podcast verse stream. I can't even talk right now.
What in the
Jesus.
heavenly hell is going on right now?
You know what? I'm drinking.
You know what? Let's start it. Let's start over. Start it over.
Okay.
In 3, 2,
Wait,
1.
we'll just fucking go with it. Whatever.
All right. All right.
No,
thanks.
so Anna's coworker gave her
hammered?
these. No, I'm not hammered,
Okay.
but Anna's coworker gave her these sangrias in a bottle that you can only get in certain places, and they're like 14% alcohol. And I can tell you what, you can taste the fruit, but you can also taste the alcohol. They're good.
Yeah, it's probably.
But apparently they're making me stutter right now.
Grain alcohol made in somebody's basement. It's good to see you, my man. Last week I was on the road. It was a successful cut made at the Mass AM Public Links. Struggled a little bit on day 2. I'll tell you what, my game this summer is actually in really good shape. I had another qualifier today, but Boudreaux's quest for the qualifier continues. Although I snagged one, so I guess mission accomplished this year. We got one.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like today I was on scholarship. I had this very kind of calmness about me. To the point where I was getting to the 17th tee. I was one over on the day. I knew I needed to shoot even to make the cut and to go on to the actual championship for the mid-am. Because the mid-am, for the folks who might not know, is basically the Massachusetts amateur with 25 years and older. So you have to have a 4 handicap or better and be over 25 years. It's basically so that all the college kids can't come and spoil our fun the way they do at the Mass Am every year. So it was we were at Crystal Lake up in Haverhill. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a fun track.
I've never played there, but I know where it is. Yeah.
It's a fun track. It's not long at all, but it's incredibly narrow. There's hazard and OB all over the damn place. So it's a traditional New England course where if you keep it in play, you can score. And that's what I did. I kind of came out, cruised with 6 pars. I stumbled a little bit on a tee shot. 7 pars in a row. Then I stumbled on a tee shot, had to pitch back out in the fairway, made bogey on that hole. And then I was kind of cruising again, went birdie, bogey, birdie, kind of, one of those little roundabouts in the front 9. Next thing I looked up and I was one over on the day, and it was the 17th tee. And sure enough, rope hooked one out of bounds.
Of course, because you thought about it for the first time all day.
No, I really didn't. What I did was I had 2 takeaways today. So I shot 74 on the day, missed the cut by 3, needed 71. And those 3 strokes happened in the 2 swings that I just mentioned. The tee ball off to the right. I mean, first of all, I got to back it up. It's dangerous to do this. Oh shit! If I would have just made that putt on 14, I would have broke 90. But
if you do that, you're gonna shoot 20 under par every time you do it.
Listen, I'm 20 under par right now. But I am trying to make marginal gains in my game. So it does mean kind of looking back and where did I make mistakes? Like that actually cost me strokes. It's one thing to miss a green and then, it's like, all right, you missed a green. You put a bad move on the ball. Yeah. I had 2 really poor swings that led to a bogey and a double bogey. And it's kind of like right there. If I'm not in jail off the tee on those 2 holes, I know for a fact the way I was hitting it, the way I was rolling it, that I'm making par easily, if not birdie, because it was that kind of course and that kind of day. It was really wet. It was raining all morning. So we were playing clean in place. So especially for New England golf courses, you're throwing darts. You pick a number, you hit it to that, it stops. Pick up your ball, you clean it off, you pick your lie. So it was a good day to score, and my putter kind of finally showed up today.
I said, you just said you were rolling it nice, so it's nice to see that come around, because you've said that's been like the one part of your game recently that has kind of felt like it's held you back.
To the point where I almost went mallet today. I almost went full Scotty. And I was, because I did make an adjustment, or I did switch putters for the Pub Links, the championship. Didn't putt any better or worse. And I did it for visual reasons. I switched to a ping answer that has a sight line on it because I liked the way that looked. Well, I didn't like the way it rolled, though. So I bring the Scotty back out. I was at Golf Galaxy yesterday picking up some essentials. I picked up a dozen balls, and then there's a bunch of stuff on sale. So I came home with this new Travis Matthew hat and then some other swag. But one of the things that I got, and this has been an absolute game changer. This has revolutionized my game, and I do think it was the unlocking of my putter, because it was switching to that ping answer and realizing how much I loved the sight line. Well, then it dawned on me that the line doesn't necessarily have to be on the club the way that my eyes are looking at it. So I grabbed one of those contraptions that like snaps onto your ball, and it's got a million different lines that you can stencil. And I sure enough, I stenciled the hell out of a gigantic line or halfway across the ball with like two lines in the middle. It looks like a giant cross on there. I loved it. I didn't miss any short putts today. No 3 putts today. I burnt a lot of edges from really long distances. That was it. It was a visual thing for me. And then it all just came into place because I was just locked in on that sight line in the midpoint. And all I could think was, all right, all you have to do is whatever distance we're going, put that in your brain. It's going to generate into your hands and just focus on hitting that square line. I didn't miss anything inside 5 feet or 6 feet really even today. And like I said, I was burning some edges. So the qualifiers are done for the year. Might do a 4-ball in the fall for next year. But so far so good on the season. We still have some other stuff going on in the Saturday League. But before that, that's the off course stuff or the unofficial stuff. Yeah. But how's your game? You've been texting me in the last couple of weeks because we've been on and off with our travels and travails. How's your game looking? Because I want to hear where are you lacking? What can we work on in this as we approach the off season?
It's been a couple weeks since I played. Last time I played though, my putting was atrocious.
It's never ending. It just never ends.
Putting's never really been like a terrible game. Like it's never been great, but it's never been bad either. The last time I played, it was bad. I was literally, on the green in regulation and 3 putting for bogey, and like feels terrible. And it's not like I was outrageous.
I'd rather miss an up and down. I 100% would rather miss the green and then just miss my up and down than 3.
Because that's the thing. Everything else was feeling good. I was driving the ball. I was striking the ball, and I just couldn't freaking putt for the life of me. There was multiple, and I was leaving it short and so short too. Like that's what was so frustrating is I just wasn't hitting the ball. I had no feel for it, and it was incredibly frustrating. So yeah, I think that day I shot like a 98. I think it was. Which I've been consistently in the lower 90s so far this season. So that felt like a really bad day to me.
Have you broken 90 yet?
I haven't. I still haven't been able to do it. I went into that day feeling like I was going to too, and then I couldn't putt.
Have you ever thought about this? So the reason, okay, I don't know where to start with this shit. 90 is your par. Par's not 72 for you. You're a bogey golfer.
Right.
And so that's the mentality shift. That's the mental shift you got to get to yourself, because like you said, you're getting on these greens and 3 putting consistently. If you hit every green in regulation and 3 putted every green in regulation, you'd shoot 90.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if you think about it, you're close. I was in like a Zen Buddhist like state. Even when I hit the ball like left today and I got a bad kick. I could have, it was left, it was leaning left. Got a kick, got a second kick. Fuck, I'm out of bounds. And then I piped my recovery drive, 300 down the right side. And of course, why didn't I do that the first time? I was trying to hit a 3-wood. I just my miss is left, and instead of going down the right side, knowing that my miss is left, I went right down the middle of the fairway, missed left. So it was a mental error. It wasn't execution. I actually hit the piss out of the ball. I was just like, oh crap, wrong sight line. But my point is this: everything, no matter what your score is, everything is about the mental game and about enjoying yourself and about trying to keep a level head. I hit the ball left. I'll tell you what, for the rest of my life, I don't give a shit if I hit it left, right, or whatever, because I love wedges. And the opportunity to hit wedges to me is like, there's nothing sexier than Kevin Kisner's the guy who talks about it, breaking your opponent's backs. Like when they think you're out of it, you just punch it out, wedge it to 15 feet, make a putt, and watch their face, the blood just drain from their face. I love wedges. And I think that's something that you should work on like in the off season, because that's really all you're going to be able to do is go to the driving range and hit buckets. And, you can sit there and pipe drivers and 3-irons all you want, but your game, you will 100% shave strokes if you do 2 things. Mentally switch par to 90. It's fine. You're going to make bogeys. Pars are your birdie right now. Birdies are like, we're going to the titty club. You know what I mean?
That's exactly how they feel. It's right where I am.
I will say a kid today, the guy I was playing with today, stuck it to a foot on a par 5 for a tap-in eagle. It was gross. I had a nice two-putt birdie on the hole, but that's my mission for you in the off season is to make that mental switch, because you're close. And
I am close. I'm so close. I can feel it. I'm close to 90. I can definitely feel it. Because that's the thing. Even on the front nine of that round, I think I shot like 46 or 47. So like I was still gonna need to do a little better than that anyways to break 90. But that was with putting like shit on the front nine. Is that like even with bad putting, I still was somewhat on track. And then it was the back nine where of course I had the dreaded 8 that comes with every single round. And that just added to it all.
That was me today. That was the dreaded 6. That was the OB ball on 17 that I
exactly.
Because then I'm proud of myself though. 18, my 18 today was the 9th at Crystal, and then we'll move on because we got a lot of stuff to catch up on. But this is what I was proud of. I make that 6, and of course now I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm out of it. 3 over on the day. Have to. Even as your goal, 1 over, you're going crossing your fingers. 2 over, you're thinking outside shot of being an ultra. That's kind of the mentality. So when I made that double, I was like, fuck. I could dunk my tee shot on 9, which is a par 3, and I'm still not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so why not try? And I stuck it to about 12 feet, and it was one of my 3 or 4 just lip outs of the day, which made me laugh because, of course, that's how it's going to end, a little 2-putt par. But I was proud of myself for bouncing back and not losing my cool and being able to throw a dart from 160.
I lost my cool, but we'll move on.
We should. Where do you want to? This is Frank, by the way. Frank's making an appearance. Frank is a fair Frank that I got at a conference and brought home to Cooper Rose. Hi, Frank. Good to see you, buddy.
I love it.
So where do you want to start? I mean, the Wachovia, we'll end with the Wachovia and the PGA Tour. I got a feeling there's so much to chew on coming out of Paris and other parts of the golf world. So it's your show. Hey, Junior, go beat it, scram.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we need to start with the Olympics. I think just because it's the most recent thing that was what was it the 3 a.m. or the 3 a.m. whatever it's called was the week before the Olympics, I believe. So I don't think I touched on that week. That it was just me.
Nothing exists in my brain before Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Olympics happened, and look, the Olympics was. You would text me at one point, and you were so spot on that this was the best leaderboard we've had all year. Hell, maybe even 2 years. Like it's been, it was just fantastic. The names that were up there, and even some of the I guess the lesser known names that were up there were still guys that have had great seasons that were crushing it. So it was the stars were out, the power was there. I was disappointed that my Shane Lowry didn't exactly pan out the way I thought he was. He kind of hung around
on all
my other takeaway. So I'm going to do just a couple quick takeaways in the Olympics, then we can talk some details. My other takeaway was proud of Wyndham Clark for not disappearing, because he got off to such a bad start, and I looked at it and I said, "Yep, I knew it. He was the weak link." He stuck with it. He turned it around. I think he shot 6 under or 7 under in that either round 2 or 3. I forget the details honestly, but either way, he didn't give up. He didn't disappear. I think he ended up with a top 25 finish in the end. So yeah, Wyndham Clark coming out. I
was happy about Wyndham as well, because when Bryson put out that tweet about happy for all the guys playing for Team US.
Yeah, wish I was there.
All right, keep going. I got so many questions.
Okay, and then now I'm blanking on. Oh, my other takeaway was so Matthew Pavon just completely gone, freaking absolutely imploded and made way
pick up a white courtesy phone.
Oh my god, that was disappointing, because he was someone who just we were both kind of high on coming in, and it's plus being at home, it was all lining up.
What balanced it out though was his boy Victor Perez.
Yes, I was going to say him next.
Making a charge, giving people hope for a podium finish, and kind of giving the people what they want. Victor Perez was one of my standout performers of the week.
The fact that we were going into the 18th hole with guys in the clubhouse and guys on the 18th hole, and there was still about 5 guys fighting for a podium finish. At that point, Scotty Scheffler had all but he hadn't locked up the gold yet, but we pretty much knew it was very unlikely for him not to get the gold. But still, with everybody else, I mean, it was tiebreak, potential playoff. We almost had a playoff for 2nd and 3rd. So I mean, it was perfect. It's what you want Olympic competition to be.
So I agree with everything you just said. And back to the thing about it being the best leaderboard that we've had on a Sunday all year, maybe in 2 years, to your point. And we were missing some names: Bryson, Brooks,
Right.
Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, etc. Ad nauseum, ad infinitum. But I think what that highlights is just how important these opportunities to play in the Olympics are going to be moving forward, as I kind of predicted, as Wyndham Clark said it, as we kind of knew it was going to happen. You know, these guys, when you get to their level, money doesn't mean as much as it used to. Ask John Rahm. We'll shit all over him in a minute.
Yeah.
But these intangibles, these opportunities, they start doing the math and they really understand. Like, I guarantee you that Bryson DeChambeau has it on his vision board, goals list. He's probably got a YouTube sub channel dedicated
Olympics.
to it right now. Olympics 28. And,
Exactly.
and for these guys, Riviera, that's where it's going to be to 2028.
Yeah.
That's where the Olympic competitions are going to be. And we'll talk about format in a couple more minutes. But this week highlighted just how important it is. And you see what it meant to finish on the podium. And we're going to go through a couple of the guys. Tom Kim, did you see this story?
Yeah, I saw this
Similar-
story.
Similar to some other guys.
Did you see Tom Kim's social media post or statement that he put out after the fact too?
No.
It's basically he was just praising his love and his admiration for his country of South Korea and what it meant for him to have the support. Like it's a really well written post. And I know, he did it because he's in now this awkward situation where we can get into the details if we want, but where he's about to be kind of faced with this, what was it, like 18 or 20 month
21 months. So a lot of
21-month military service.
Hey, wake up, America. This might be something that ends up coming down the pike sooner or later, especially since we're not producing generations like we used to. And I don't mean in value, I mean in volume. That's another
right.
So mandatory military service or mandatory national service, depending on the country and how they describe it.
Yeah.
And in kind of not traditionally, but in other scenarios, sometimes these Olympians, if they podium finish, then the government sometimes have given them an exemption or a pass, saying, you already kind of quote unquote performed for your country, your goodwill, yada yada. Tom Kim they're not slapping an AR on Tom Kim and sending him to the front line. He is most likely probably going to have to go home for 2 years and do whatever is deemed military service. I doubt he'll get this kind of out, but what if all of a sudden his service is being the PGA teaching pro at the military base golf course? Doubtful that's going to happen. But there's so many different ways that you can actually fulfill those duties. But then again, I'm not in those shoes. So if you saw him in the scoring tent, if you saw Scotty with his arm around him walking off 18, because people forget they're buddies. He even said, we're probably going to play golf later this week in Dallas.
He thanked Scotty Scheffler in his statement about thanking South Korea. It was, like I said, it's a very heartfelt statement.
And so my heart goes out to him because the unknown is scary. I mean, it's easy for me to sit over here in my basement in Which City, USA, and go, oh, he'll be fine. The world is an unpredictable place. And the wind, it's kind of like, thank God I'm 40, whatever years old, 39.
I'll be 35 tomorrow, so thank God.
I'll be 42 in October.
Dodging it.
But thank God for that, because they ain't drafted my old ass. I'm not getting through that military screening. So it's easy for me to say these things now. But Tom Kim, that was one of the storylines to follow. As you said, Shane Lowry kind of not dudding. And I think our expectations, you know what it was? He was front and center, flag bearing, laughing, giggling, smiling, having the time. So all of a sudden we're like, man, I got a feeling about Shane Lowry, and it's like
it did, yeah. It was more so us putting in these I guess assumptions and expectations on it that felt disappointing. Because when you look at his performance, like you're right, he didn't. It's not like he played bad. It's not like he finished in the bottom quarter. Like he played well enough. He just didn't podium like we thought.
And speaking of guys who were making a charge and then just couldn't podium, something's got to give for Rory. He's gonna have to give. Right? Did you see that?
He's. Rory needs to start, like, I don't know, trying some
if you missed it,
secondary medicine stuff to try to conjure something for himself.
If you missed it, Rory on Sunday comes out of nowhere and absolutely is just, making a charge. And
he was like 7 under at one point, I think, 7 or 8 under.
Yeah, he was at 17 under on 18, hitting his approach.
Yeah,
dunks it in the water. I know hindsight, Scotty, I think, won at 19. But in that moment, He's one off the lead. You know, he's looking at a podium finish. That's like the 5th time we've said podium finish. We're gonna ride that horse and beat it till it's dead. And then it just right in the water. That 18th hole at Le Golf National is brutal. And as a matter of fact, for the ladies this week, it's going to play as a par 5 for the sheer fact that they don't hit it as long or as high. And so to hold that green coming in from those angles, I mean, you want it to be sporting. You want it to be fair. You don't want it to be abusive. And so they are playing that as a par 5. That'll be something a little bit different this week. But 18 was a treat. You know, all the guys kind of finishing. Scotty had that gritty.
I know.
I mean, gritty. Homeboy rolls four birdies in a row while John Rahm, we'll get to it in a minute. So he rolls in 4 birdies in a row. And then he goes long on 18. And, you know, after being in the shit, basically, he had a decision to make. He was either going to have to lay up and then try to wedge something close and make the putt. But he just muscled it out, you know. Scotty sticks.
Just about everyone in those last groups went long at 18 too. Like they either went long or they went left. For some reason, those last.
That's because short is dead, as Rory McIlroy found out. I love Scotty's finish, and then honestly, I wept. But when he teared up, I teared up, and I was sitting there looking at him like, "Don't you do it! Don't you do it!" As soon as he hit it, because it's right. You know, you kind of fantasize about being in those positions sometimes, and what it might feel like. And for sure, I can't imagine John Rahm.
So, he just, you know, it was for the first few days. It was almost, it felt right and accepted and you know, inevitable to see him up near the top of the leaderboard the way he was. And then, I think you texted me. I can't remember the exact words you texted me, and I'm using my phone as my camera, but you texted me something along the lines of, I guess 72 holes is too many for John Rahm or something like that. Something along those lines, because you're right, that back 9, man, the wheels just came off, and they came off hard.
You know what's cool about Olympic golf? First of all, they play 72 holes, and that's another horse that I'm going to beat. You can't, that story, you can't ignore it. The guy signs the check, goes over, disappears. I mean, and you can't tell me it's not weighing on him, because DJ disappeared. Brooks got his PGA, and he's still hanging around. I'm not riding the Brooksy train anymore as far as betting is concerned, but it wouldn't shock me if he was competitive again next year. Same thing with Bryson. Mostly because I want to see Brooksy in the red, white, and blue. He is great for Ryder Cup. But this Olympic golf, the reason it's so great, there's no money, there's tears, there's pride, there's all this stuff. But in a regular tournament, 4th place probably walks away with $300,000-$400,000, and some of these maybe more than that, $1 million plus in a signature event,
and a lot of FedEx Cup points, and like a bunch of different ways that matters.
Victor Perez finished 4th, 16 under, means dick.
Yep.
He had a great final round. We're going to talk about it, but means dick all. And Hideki Matsuyama, major champion, you know, said, I worked so hard to get bronze back in my home country, and I wasn't able to do it. So happy. Tommy Fleetwood, which we got to investigate Team Great Britain. I don't think they pay their athletes for their medals. I don't think they get monetary bonuses the way that other countries do. Yeah, U.S. athletes, they get like 36 grand for a gold. I think it's like 22 and 15 for silver and bronze. In different countries, they I mean, it's their own Olympic committees pull it together. It's like the sprinter from St. Lucia or whatever who won the female 100. She's going to get, you know, a boatload of money. But the Olympic golf, to see John Rahm fall apart like that, I thought he had it in the bag. I really was. I was like, 20 under or 19 under, whatever. I was like, John's going to fucking win, and we're going to have to hear him talk about, you know, now it's time for the game to come back together. On top of that, your Ryder Cup Europe just said, live, no points. Try again next year. So between Rahm's collapse, you know, sure, Bryson won the U.S. Open. You have a unicorn amongst you. That league is absolutely, I'm telling you right now, they need to either try to find a presence in Southeast Asia and Australia, or because I don't think there's going to be another wave of players coming. I don't care how much money at this point, how much money they're waiving, because the opportunity over here is going to outweigh it. So John Rahm, that was a little bit of not poetic justice, but it's because that's he doesn't deserve that.
Right. No. So what you this leads
just hold on real quick. It just illustrates
Yeah,
that steel sharpens steel, or whatever the fuck that phrase is. Iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
whatever the hell that is. It's iron, right? Not steel.
I think it's iron. Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. Whatever. Fuck,
Yeah.
I never played football.
Yeah, because that's the blacksmith use iron hammer. Yeah.
But it's not just the 54 holes.
Right.
It's the competition. It's the lack of emotional investment. You didn't grow up watching these competitions. And so starting something new is hard. But I got a feeling these guys don't truly believe in it, as evidenced by everybody going, yeah, we wanted the money. Like, the money was great.
Exactly. Not one guy stood up there and said this league stood for something that I believe in and that I'm excited to bring to the world. They're not talking about the league. They're talking about the money.
No, and they were talking about growing the game, and I think it's a joke.
Yeah.
So back to growing the game. The Olympics could grow the game.
Yeah.
I have some suggestions. I want to get your thoughts. And I think the first one is, hey, what we got? Antsy intern. This got a lot. This is American Idol. This got a lot of press in Paris. And there's been this rogue kind of movement for it, to the point where I think it just has to happen, and it's going to happen. Whatever you want to call it, mixed doubles, best ball, pairs,
Sure.
A male female best ball, alternate shot,
There's so many more of those events in the Olympics already too. Like, I was surprised. I didn't know there was a mixed male female 4x4 relay team, and then I see them go out there and absolutely demolish the competition and smash the world record. And I was like, holy I didn't even know this was an event, and they absolutely destroyed it.
So I say we bring that in, and I think it's going to happen. And not to mention, you get 3 weekends with the Olympics, right? They do the opening ceremony and that first weekend. So you could in theory have 3 full 72-hole competitions if you wanted to. I got more though. In track, they don't just run the 1500. They don't just run the 100. They run a million different things. And then there's the field elements, and then there's the dong jump. You saw the French pole vaulter, didn't you?
Yeah, that's a bad way to lose.
Sir, good. Is it?
Right?
I do.
The whole world just knows now.
God, what did he call it? He was like, it was an unfortunate circumstance or something like that. And I'm like, not really, dude. Pretty fortunate. Nope. It did look like it got the twig and berries, which sometimes can distort girth.
It was definitely a secondary flick.
But homeboy was healthy. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the dong jump. Spice it up in golf. I don't mean by bringing your wieners.
Not with the dong jump, but
not with the dong jumps.
With mixed doubles.
So here's some things. And I saw I'm ripping this one off, and then I thought of some more mines. But somebody said, why not long drive?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, in
that would be a very exciting sport for people to watch.
And put this in the context of LA. I mean, you could have so much fun with this. There's so many spaces in the southwestern United States that you could set up a badass, big gigantic coliseum for these people just to rip it. Find somewhere that has like these downwinds that are consistent, and just put on a show. And I say, so long drive. Let's bring it. This is the clearest one, and I think it also would lend itself to just a whole new demographic of Olympians. Not that but in the sense of inclusivity and to exhibit the diversity of the sport. Drive, chip, and putt. That's ripe for like an Olympic style competition, because we already do it with the Augusta National with the kiddos, but the blueprint's right there. It is such a repeatable competition. It's simple, it's understandable, and it is just you make it a little more difficult, I guess, with your chips and your putts, possibly, but drive, chip, and putt, some combination of that. And then 2 that you could do either alone, but I say you combine them, which would be speed golf, which if you're not familiar with speed golf, it is literally just like it sounds. You basically we
saw it in that match that they had a little while back ago. The first hole, remember they did different formats for each hole, and the first hole was speed.
Yeah,
that was so intense and awesome to watch. I'd be down to watch that.
So in like a full speed golf competition, it's essentially you go play 18 holes, and your strokes plus your time is it. Yeah. So if you play 18 holes in 1 hour, that's 60 minutes, and you shoot 80, that's 80 plus 60. Your score is 140. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, but I say par 3 golf, because par 3 golf is also taking off, and also it'd be quicker. You can get around the course, and you'd be having like 15-minute rounds of nines, right? These people just flying around shooting, low scores. So bring in the speed. But I think the Olympics are going to be ripe for a kind of golf explosion. I think LA and Riviera is primed for it. And I really hope that they go just beyond adding, I get it. The logistics of just adding an event to the, I talk about like we're, it's at your wedding and you're going, should we have this or that? Honey, it's our wedding. Let's do them both. No, it's the Olympics. It takes a lot to do this shit.
A little different.
And so between those, which one would you say, truth gun to your head, if you had to add, if you were going to add, we're already assuming the mixed doubles is in. And so if truth gun to your head, long drive, chip and putt, or the speed 3?
I would say the long drive, because I think not only would it be exciting to watch from a viewer standpoint, I think it also brings in an entire different group of golfers, because there's specific long drivers that already represent their countries in these competitions. So, and there's already built-in rivalries. I think that's the easiest path to another golf competition in the Olympics, and I think it would be successful. Plus, Bryson has now another path to getting, because I bet you Bryson could sneak into a long drive as a long drive Olympian for the U.S.
All right, so
he's already hung around with those guys a lot. He's competed with them, so why not?
Yeah, it's actually kind of sick when you hear him talk about why he went through that whole process and what he gained from it. He's like, I can still do that. Like I got that gear in my bag. He goes, I just don't use it because I don't need it. And he's like, I had to go about figuring it out. And then you hear him talk about the science behind it all, and like how he does like a real quick whippy, takeaway when he hits those bombs, because he has this idea of like coiling himself up and torque and shit.
It almost looks uncontrolled to a point too, but it's so controlled at the same time.
Right. The repetitions that he's done, he can do it blindfolded.
Yeah.
Mr. Bryson was the big story of who's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly have no issue with it, because again, he chose his path. He knew what he was sacrificing when he went over there. And, he's from day one, Bryson has sounded like the guy who things are all rosy and they're going to work out. So maybe in his mind, he was thinking to himself, before the Olympics come around, this will all get itself sorted out. We'll get points and I'll be able to hang in there. It's not going to happen. And so I do wonder if we're overblowing it because we love the Olympics and these guys are like, fuck it, who cares? Or B, does Bryson actually, you think, give a shit about the Olympics? Or C, do we need to change the qualification? Should it be just straight off of official world golf rankings, or should there be a little more into it, and should we have some different types of exemptions?
See, I think the way it's decided I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But this leads right into a question I want to ask you though about the Olympics, and then you just mentioned how you're not really sure, do these guys necessarily care, like if they get in onto the team or not? Like you were kind of alluding to that. The fact that the U.S. has now won back-to-back gold Olympics, Xander 4 years ago and now Scotty. And now with this kind of renewed energy around the Ryder Cup and to the level that it's at, two-part. One, do you think it adds any fire to the Ryder Cup, or is it non-factor when it comes to, like, I don't think the U.S.'s Scotty's going to be sitting there using it as trash talk against the Europeans come Bethpage. And two, like, does the Olympics, next time we see golf Olympics, being at an actual kind of world-renowned competitive golf course like Riviera, and like we've now seen it in Rio, and we've seen it here in Paris, which at beautiful high-end golf courses, but let's be honest, compared to Riviera Country Club, they don't hold a candle to the legacy of Riviera, the name value and all that, the competitive value and history of Riviera. Does all of this kind of matter to these guys? Like I feel like 4 years from now is when we really know a little bit more about Olympic golf taking the next jump, because I think Riviera plays a fact, and I'm curious to see if this starts to build some more rivalry leading up to the Ryder Cup. Do the guys care more about now wanting to dethrone the Americans?
It'll begin to matter more and more for the reason you just said, because Riviera is Riviera, and year one they built that course for Rio. We didn't know much about it.
Right.
The second Olympics in Tokyo, we're
Oh,
familiar
Tokyo. I
with
forgot Tokyo. You're right.
we're familiar with that course, but again, it didn't make our socks roll up and down because it's not central to our Western golf,
Yeah.
world. And Riviera has the history and the reputation and the gravitas and the Tiger Woods connection and stuff like that. So I think it's going to continue to matter more and more for those reasons. I've been wavering. I was kind of over the weekend thinking to myself, why have it be so damn simple where it's just, you have to be inside the top 60 to get the automatic or, whatever the hell the qualification criteria are. It's like top 15 automatically get in, and then countries just are allowed to bring up to 2 golfers if they're ranked inside the whatever the hell it is. Then I remembered it's because it's the Olympics and they have to do things just methodical and as equal and fair as possible.
Right.
And, it's no different than could there possibly be somebody on the planet faster than Noah Lyle? Sure, absolutely.
Exactly.
They're just not going through the Olympic program in whatever country, or like they don't know about it, or we don't know about them. So that's kind of how I take this whole Bryson wasn't in the field thing. So what? There's probably a lot of golfers. No, there's not a lot of golfers that could beat Scotty. There's a handful of guys who might have made a difference if they were in the field.
There's only been a handful that have beaten him so far this year. So.
Jesus, his closing ability. So I think the qualification stays. It's going to grow at Riviera. And then and I do think it's going to grow in importance because you're going to have guys like Rory who, he's going to start doing the math again. He's got 1, maybe 2 more. If he's in 3, if he's lucky, times where he's going to be able to represent, because there's guys coming up behind him in his own country.
Exactly.
I was happy for Tommy Fleetwood. I was kind of glad that, he hit the skids towards the end. I didn't want to see a playoff. I just wanted to see Scotty walk away with it. But it broke my heart when Tommy actually got tied for the lead, because then I was like, damn it, this has to end badly for him for this and good for me. But all's well that ends well. I think you nailed it from the beginning, though. Wyndham Clark, 65 on Sunday. Actually, yes, we're going to the Reds. We're going to the Red Sox soon. We're going to the Red Sox in a couple weeks. Go keep watching game. But he opened. Thank you because that's what I want to close with. Wyndham Clark, 75, 3 over. Everybody's chirping, and then he goes 68, 65, 65. So most improved. And then who's down here?
It is a perfect time for him to turn it around as we head into the FedEx Cup playoffs, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So, I mean, he might have saved himself just in time.
Matt Fitzpatrick. All right, let's hear from Underdog, and then we'll talk about Matt Fitzpatrick, and then pivot to the PGA Tour.
All right.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever, and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code DIVPIV to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
So what do you want to hit us with when it comes to Matthew Fitzpatrick? Because he's one of those guys that would be challenging for those future spots that you're talking about with Rory when it comes to Ryder Cup and whatnot.
I think Rory. I'm not going to get into splicing hairs. Who's there? Fitzy, Tommy, Rory. Who's Rory playing for? Northern Ireland.
Rory was for Ireland, yeah.
Or Ireland, yeah. Duh, Northern Ireland.
Him and Shane were together.
Get shot around here for that. No, Fitzy had to withdraw with a thumb injury. I just found it kind of interesting. I was saying something to keep an eye on moving into the FedEx Cup playoffs because, like you said, it is almost that time. And one of my favorite parts of the year is this last week. Last year, it was a huge time because of Justin. Everybody was watching JT. We had the Ryder Cup and bubble watch, and he finished 71st. And so looking at, 65 to 75, these are the guys. And I mean, it doesn't mean that people can't move from outside of this or inside of this, but really these are the 10 golfers this weekend that I find. What are you complaining about over there? You have it so good you don't even know. But the bubble watch guys are the guys who I look at, like Nick Dunlap, 65th.
Yeah,
He's won, which is weird because he's won twice on tour this year, and he's sitting at 65th. But the events that he's won, that's a bat from the Hammond Castle that we went to in Gloucester. That's what she's flying. Nick Dunlap, Johnny Vegas kind of coming out of nowhere, winning again for the first time. Go sit down. You're being annoying.
Yeah, and Johnny Vegas in the field this week.
Emiliano Grillo, I didn't even know that he was still playing. Seamus Power was another guy at the beginning of the year I was big on and playing him a lot, and he was scoring a lot. Brendan, we all know my love affair with Brendan Todd. Victor Perez, again.
Perez is hot right now.
I love to see how he bounces back after no showing in Paris. And then Davis Riley, Andrew Putnam, Kurt Kitayama, Luke List, and Lucas Glover are the first 5 out. And if you remember, it was this time last year that Lucas Glover essentially he changed putters, so I think one of those lab monstrosities, and then went wild, and then was overlooked just like Keegan for the Ryder Cup. So coming into this whatever the fuck tournament, what is this? The Wyndham Championship?
It's the Wyndham Championship.
It's on the chopping block. That's all I know.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the guys who are just outside of the FedEx Cup playoffs right now, and like honestly, I don't look at any of them right now and think like any of these guys are like, I'm not looking and say, oh, this is a guy that's definitely going to make a run. I mean, any of them could down here at this point. The guy I'm surprised is actually down here because I guess he's had a quieter season than I thought was Nikolai Hogard. I thought he was having a better season than this. Maybe he just didn't play as much on the PGA Tour as I thought he did, and as far as getting FedEx Cup points, that could be it. But I thought I could have sworn he was playing better than this year. But it might have just come down to how many events he's played on tour this year. Because that's a name I see down there. I say if he turns it on this week, then I could see him somehow sneaking in because I could see some of these guys that are in right now falling off.
Oh, for sure. And Nikolai splits time over on the DP World Tour as well. So that's probably why, like you said, he doesn't have as much FedEx Cup point opportunities.
Yeah.
Coming off a little bit of a run at the Olympics as well. His brother Rasmus, I think shot a 62 on that course as well at Le Golf National, which is it hosts the French Open every year for the last like 30 years or whatever it is. Oh, real quick, random. The Wyndham Championship. That's for some reason I kept on thinking Quail Hollow and Wells Fargo, and then then I was reminded that the Wells Fargo deal has come to an end. Found out Truist, the sponsor for the Atlanta Braves Stadium, Truist, whatever financial company, that is going to be the new Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow. It's going to be the Truist Championship. And the Truist Championship. Truist. Truist. The Truist Championship. It's going to be a fucking mouthful.
Well, as long as they don't go and start being like LA did with their arena and start like putting full, URL webpage addresses as names of tournaments. They're like the something.com arena now, aren't
One
they?
of the best bowl games ever was the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. Real bowl game. My uncle was a photographer for it. What were we just talking about before you went off?
We were talking about the guys who could get in and get out of the FedEx Cup playoffs this week. But I honestly think we finished on that. The Hoygaard brothers, yes.
But naming rights, check this out. Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, Mr. Pitbull just bought the naming rights to Florida International University's football stadium. For the next 5 years, fucks are going to be playing out of Pitbull Stadium.
Hey, you know what? For a football stadium, that's not a bad name for it, honestly.
That's pretty good brand record. That's good branding right there.
Yeah, it's not bad. I would have thought he went with like one of his name, like one of his song names. Like, why not like partner with freaking Fireball Whiskey and just call it Fireball Stadium? Fireball,
goddamn song. You're all welcome. You're already singing it right now. So fucking. He might change it. He might. I don't think it's gonna be Pitbull Stadium. It'll probably be like it'll probably be like Worldwide Stadium, Mr. Worldwide. I love me some Pitbull and some fist pumping in the air. All right, so the Truist, that's what we were talking about. This next year, the PGA Championship is at Quail Hollow, and so the Wells Fargo, now the Truist, which we'll probably still call the Wells Fargo, is going to be at Philadelphia Cricket Club. Fun little fun spot, fun getaway. Hosts a ton of USGA events. I think it's hosted a U.S. Open or two in its past. Definitely hosted some AMs. So it'll be a fun little one-stop, and then back to Quail Hollow for their 6-year run. And no word on whether or not Pitbull is going to be in Philadelphia for that. Just blew me away. And I'm starting to think to myself, because I think the deal is 5 years or 6 years, $1.2 million a year, which for a guy like Pitbull, he's printing money at this point.
It's actually a pretty good deal, honestly. I would have thought it'd be more. I guess it is only Florida Atlantic. You said it was, right?
It was Florida International, FIU,
Florida
I think.
International. Okay.
Yeah, there's Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Florida Gulf Coast, Florida State, University of Florida, South Florida, North Florida, Central Florida. People try to throw the University of Miami in there, but that's private school. Don't lump us in with those Martians. I say us. I went to UF for grad school. And then last but certainly not least, Tallahassee Community College, which is the only option. Actually, I wasn't good enough to get on their baseball team. I was going to have to go down the road to Pensacola Junior College. Back to you in the studio. So the Wachovia doesn't mean much to me other than it's going to be – I'm looking at guys. I have only one gut play in my emergency 9. I have the rest of these guys. They make sense based on the stats. And then I just had one kind of like, he's in the field. And then I had to go look over real quick. Hold on, let me pull up the FedEx Cup. I just had it. Dadgummit. Where's Jordan Spieth on the FedEx Cup list? He's safely inside the top, whatever, right?
Yeah, kind of. He's 62nd.
See, that's my point. A guy like Jordan Spieth. That's where I put him in my emergency 9 because I think that, you know how going into the playoffs, you always got to be leery or beware of that team that had to claw their way to get in because they're kind of on a heater. They're used to playing. They're used to winning. Then, Lord willing, isn't that right, Coop?
He's actually 63rd, not 60. 62nd is projection. He's 63rd.
Yeah, and so that's why I say, like, keep an eye on Jordan Spieth because I think this will tell us a lot. I don't think he's going to drop 7 or 8 spots. I just don't think there's enough juice behind him to actually force him out. But keep an eye on him, and I think he might do something special this week. Yes.
I don't know who dropped out.
Who dropped out?
Somebody. I'm trying to not drop down. I'm trying to see who dropped down the standings to make all these people be projected to be up one more position, but I can't tell. So I have no freaking clue. I think someone just got yanked out of the rankings altogether. It seems like probably withdrew themselves from the FedEx Cup. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
But nothing else matters.
Jordan Spieth is in there. I do love golf playoff, the PGA playoffs though. It just adds this other wrinkle, seeing, and I think they do. I think this is something the PGA broadcast and television, all of that view from a viewer standpoint does well because they do put that extra little square up by the player's name, telling you what position they're in, what position they're projected to be, and it's going to be green or red whether or not they're projected to even make the next tournament. And I think that's the little things like that are the type of things that everyone's getting excited about, the way Liv shows their scoreboards and shit. Like, this is something that I think the PGA has been doing right for a while because I think it just locks viewers in a little bit when they're watching this. They realize that this is a different type of tournament. There's different things at stake here. It's more than just a regular tournament. And I think that draws people in. I just think it's something that the PGA is doing right.
Speaking of things that the PGA Tour is doing right, how did we get 50 minutes into the show without bringing up the Creator Classic?
Oh, and Bryson wanting to be in it now. Imagine that. Bryson just out there with the likes of Fat Press and freaking.
I say do it, but I say handicap it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if Bryson's a plus 6.8 or whatever it is, make him. There it is. He's giving up 6 strokes right off the rip, and
you know what, handicap. So here's another way you can make it interesting. Make it like a chase. The idea of a chase.
That's fair.
Anybody who beats Bryson qualifies.
That's pretty cool.
And you can switch out the professional each time if you want. Like, it doesn't always have to be Bryson, but throw a professional in there, and if you beat that professional, you qualify. It's a chase down to the professional. But yeah, handicap it in a way to where it makes sense and it makes it exciting.
Why'd you have to? I was doing really good with Bryson until you had to mention. That's twice today that you've pointed out how fucking thirsty this guy is. The first time. He's so thirsty.
I love it.
You got your million followers. The video with Trump was great. That was some great golf.
That is great.
Love him or hate him, Trump can hit a golf ball and he can hit it pretty good.
Sure.
But like Bryson, Go away. The tweet during the Olympics, you're not in it. So sad. Go away.
See, I didn't have a problem with the tweet during the Olympics.
I didn't either until you pointed out that he was saying he wants to be in the Creator Classic, and he's like, I want to be in that too. Go away. You didn't get in the Olympics, so stay away. Don't try to chirp like, go ahead, US. Here's the thing. Because he has admitted openly that he is all in on his YouTube, and this is the wave, this is the future. Everything he does, I'm going to be skeptical of whether or not it's genuine. And
Fair.
I mean, that's because now is everything for show? Is everything content? You know, I want to be in the Creator Classic. Here, hey, dude, here's the thing. You're not a creator. I mean, no offense.
Well, he kind of is now, though.
No. He hired creators. Don't lump in the guys like Garrett and, you know, Fat Perez and these genuine folks who are entertainers by personality and, you know, kind of dipshits by trade, and they're just good at golf. And, you know, what's his face fucked around in his backyard hitting dumb shots for a year and a half, and, you know, now he travels the world. Those guys are creators. Bryson's a famous person, and due respect, he hired people who say to him, okay, Bryson, we're going to be here. You're going to do this. You're going to wear that. Oh, Bryson, you know, it's going to be funny. You're going to be over here. We should put you in some Harry Vardon stuff and do some Hickory clubs. No disrespect, but those are two totally different,
I get that.
You know, beasts. And so him raising his hand continuously, he's slidden into Phil Mickelson. Mickelson's retired. I've squashed my beef with Phil. He's just too old. I don't want to keep punching him anymore. You know what I mean? Because he really gives a shit what I think. But Bryson's there now for me, where he could be doing so much good. But then I have to remind myself, he's kind of douchey, you know?
See, and I'm like, I get what you're saying, where Bryson may not necessarily be the one coming up with the idea for his, like he may not have came up with the Breaking 50 series idea or any of the
stuff. I don't give a shit if he came up with it. It's really entertaining.
Well, okay, but that's what it seems like you have a problem with him, though, is that you have an issue that he's not the one coming up with it, because he's not the one coming up with like the rest of these guys were in the Creator Classic who have built their self up from, you know, nobody watching them to what they are now. But I have the same problem with
trying to put Taylor Swift and Foo Fighters side by side. Dave Grohl threw some shade at Taylor Swift by pointing out that what they do and what she does, two totally different things. Yeah, not one better, not one different. But she's lip syncing and kind of singing over her own music to very good choreographed. It's an entertainment. It's you know, it's an experience. The Foo Fighters are playing the instruments and doing it live. So the creators are Foo Fighters. Taylor Swift is, you know, Bryson.
And that's a fair point. That's a fair
point.
Although
Taylor was.
My point is that my point in that it seems like you agree because you've said it is that Bryson has run with this idea, this opportunity, and he's been wildly entertaining doing it. He's owned it. He's embraced it, and he's done what he set out to do with it, basically.
But he has no business being in the Creator Classic. None.
Sure. So I agree. As just a genuine competitor in the Creative Classic, no, but that's why I say like put him in there as like this, you know, this rabbit on a stick chasing him, and the guys got like that. He's now the goal, not necessarily finishing first. He's now just the goal.
Now I like that idea. They can't use Bryson, can't use a live guy in a PGA Tour product, but I like that idea of taking like Max Homa or somebody like that. Or Roars or somebody who, you know, who's really Victor Hovland, you know, the defending champ. Put him out there, and if you can catch me, you get a spot in the field next week. That would be overwhelmingly entertaining.
I think it would be awesome, and honestly, you keep the pressure on the professional, and you've caught like every shot, every single shot you have someone telling him on the course and getting the reaction live of like, hey, this guy's now one shot ahead of you, or just did this on this hole. Like you keep the professional, because that also helps balance it out, makes it a little bit more fair, but it makes it more fun because you get to see them maybe trash talk to a little bit. You get to. I don't know. It's kind of like the match.
No, that's a good
professional.
That's a great idea to spice this up. I just want to circle back to my original beef, and it has to do with Bryson being a thirsty bitch. Go back to being entertaining and being engaging. I get what he's trying to do because it's still more of like, hey, you know, this is Bryson, the creator, talking, not the pro golfer. And it's like, you know what? No matter what, it's kind of like when the billionaire all of a sudden has a band and it's really good, and you're like, yeah, but
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I almost think of like Jared Leto. People think that. I was kidding.
Corey Feldman's not good, but yeah, Jared Leto. Jared Leto is amazing.
he's a rare gem.
Yes.
He A, looks like he does, B, can act like he does, and then C, can sing like he does.
His voice is fucking wild.
Yeah. How do we get on Jared Leto?
I don't even. You're talking about. I don't even know.
Oh, Bryson. So I'm like a huge fan. I really am. I'm a massive fan.
Yeah.
I think that he is engaging. He's fun. He's smart. I was just saying that in this moment, that annoyed the fuck out of me. It's like, no,
Fair.
stop. It's the kid in school who volunteers for everything, and you have to be like, we get it. You're helpful. It does get annoying, and as a former teacher, it gets real annoying when the kid. Sure. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. Bryson. Nope. We know Bryson. We know Bryson. We know Bryson. We know Bryson.
Maybe Bryson will come on here and defend himself, because I did respond to his call out for who wants to be next on Breaking 50. I said, hey, maybe if you want to have a schmuck like me come out and see if you can carry my ass, then sure, let's do that. I never got a response, by the way.
He and I can break. We can break 50.
I think so too.
I'm confident. After the way I was playing and rolling the ball today. But I will say that Bryson's cracked the code sooner than everybody else. I mean, everybody now is going to need their own YouTube channel. Moving forward, there's the emeritus guys. But I think about, like, if I'm Nick Dunlap or if I'm of that age, do I want to go ahead and set it up now? But then again, what Bryson's doing is kind of unique. It's almost like he's just prepping himself for his host.
That's exactly what he's doing. And I'm not. And you know what? I'm not sure that everybody else is going to go ahead and do kind of this whole YouTube channel thing, because the reason why Bryson can do this YouTube channel venture is because he has the free time, because he's playing on Live Tour, a tour that plays less golf. I think the guys on the PGA Tour who are still playing a full PGA Tour schedule with all of the sponsorship stuff, all their what I can't think of the word, but all the things that they are required to do as a PGA Tour professional, they don't have the time to do a YouTube channel. Bryson has the time because he's playing less golf.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
It's enough Bryson talk. We got 2.5 minutes left. What's going on in the fantasy football world?
Oh, geez, there's a lot going on in the fantasy football world. Christian McCaffrey apparently popped up with a strained calf today. So he will not be playing in the preseason. So everyone who drafted him first overall is holding their breath to make sure he can come back all right. CD Lamb is apparently also a little banged up, so I don't think we're going to see much of him.
Banged up, or
he got paid already. He's fine. CD Lamb, none of that going on. But the bigger news right now is there's
when did
apparently
he get paid? I thought he was having a love-in, just like Jordan Love was, like showing up at the facility, being a team guy. Did CD get paid?
Oh, I thought he got paid. Maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn CD got paid, but maybe I'm wrong.
You were about to go with a big drop, though. Go for it.
Well, the big drop, though, is that there's apparently trade agreements agreed upon with both the 49ers and the Browns, or the 49ers and the Patriots for Brandon Ayuk, which would be massive trade for either team. It just now comes down to whether Brandon Ayuk agrees to do that, basically to allow the 49ers to trade him. So I feel like we're going to get an answer on that sometime in the next 48 hours. It seems like there's been way too much smoke for there to be no fire with this at this point. We'll see maybe the Christian McCaffrey injury, depending on how actually serious it is. If it's more serious than they're saying, maybe the 49ers now about face and just pay Brandon Ayuk money, because they realize there's a chance that our star player isn't going to be 100%, and we need all the star power we can get. All of this is tied in the beautiful web that is football. The Hall of Fame game was last week. We are officially in preseason. The Patriots' first preseason game is this week. It's football. I've already done like three drafts. It's fantastic. And if you want to find all my rankings for fantasy football, for both pre-draft rankings and then for the weekly rankings, that start-sit rankings, fantasypros.com. You can find me on fantasypros.com. If you search the experts, my rankings are on there, but also my rankings are on tssfantasy.com every week. It's right there at the top. It says Andrew's rankings. That's me. You can find them right there every single week as the season goes on.
So CD Lamb just got added to the reserve did not report list. Apparently it's procedural, so they can do other roster stuff. But they're still negotiating his contract.
Okay, so he didn't get paid. I thought he did get paid. So you beat me to that punch, I guess. Shame on me.
They're probably going to, but I mean, you got Dak out there. You've got what's his face on defense, the best fucking player in the league.
Well, they have a few great defenders.
Anyway,
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. That's what I'm thinking. So you've got a lot of guys who are going to have their palms open for Jarrett.
Sure.
And unlike other sports, the NFL is pretty strict about being able to just say fuck it and open up the pocketbooks.
No, they have a pretty loose fake cap. Honestly, they find ways around it.
Well,
the NHL is the one that's the strictest.
I'll tell you what, especially in light of the Shohei Ohtani, let's go ahead and back end all this money deal. That's going to be some stuff that they're going to start taking a harder look at, because the NFL, that's how Tom Brady got around a lot of his contracts. And it's starting to be like, well, why don't we just do this now? We'll pay you $1 billion in 20 years. It's like,
or we're going to give you rent-free space to set up your business at Patriot Place. Let's factor that into, what it's worth.
And that's all we have to say for what it's worth.
It is. So we'll end it there. Have a great night, everybody. Next Tuesday, we'll be getting ready for the FedEx Cup playoffs. We'll have the field at that point. So meet us right back here on That Sports Podcast Network at 8 o'clock. We love you. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay classy.